The purpose of this video is to state you should not work for someone that will charge you money. There are people or businesses that will charge you money for working for them. They may do it by charging for training, accessibility to items needed to work, or the items will not be yours to keep, for example, software or vehicles. From here onward, I would refer to the entity that is the employer as the entity. With respect to the entity, the mentality is pay me so I can get you to bring me in more customers. You might have to buy most or all of the equipment needed to perform that task as well. The entity has no risk, but you have all of the risk. You have to find the clientele or risk not getting paid. The entity already got paid from the training and or access to any software. There is a great chance the entity has several other people in the same boat as you. They would have taken the class, they are renting the software, and are actively looking for the clientele for the entity. A few examples of this are dropshipping, MLM. In this last one, I don't know the name of it. I'm just going to call it pay to play. The style of drop shipping that I had tried was a paid subscription type model. And the annually pay gave me access to the cart, and I was limited on the type of things I could sell. The company wanted stores to have a focus and not try and be a one-stop shop. This would mean that a store's focus could be on cameras, while another store's focus might be on crafts. I had to get a website and a host. Those are understandable, just like transportation might be needed to get to a job. The site was a vehicle to the dropshipping company. With the site, I had to link up to the dropshipping cart, images, descriptions, and whatever else was on the dropshipping site. I don't remember the company trying to upsell me on anything, which is a good aspect and made the place seem legit. What I disliked about dropshipping, pay upfront for the cart. I would have liked it better if the fee was on the back end and a percentage was taken out of the profit. For me, it would have been less of an operational cost. For the entity, it would have meant a risk of their service being accessible without being compensated. Advertising to make the entity money. For me, once again, it would have been less of an operational cost. The ad cost is understandable to the entity cannot advertise every single store. I was part of a drop shipping before social media was very large. It was sometime during 2006 through 2008. At that time, MySpace was the largest social media site per Wikipedia. For people that are good at social media, it would have not been so much of a cost. While the drop shipping that I had encountered was not shady, the model of upfront costs and no certainty of making money was not for me. I had put in some money and decided, hey, if I don't make any money for the first year, I'm just gonna stop. Well, I didn't make money in the first year and I stopped drop shipping. After that, I focused on text link sales. Of the two people that I knew that were in MLMs, the people had to buy a bunch of products upfront and then had to sell them. Since I was not part of those companies, I can't state the specifics. I do know there were learning courses to pay for and the entity would upsell. Once you are a certain level in the eye of the entity, then there is something more to buy, like a position or some other way to make money. Whenever an entity has a next level, it will always have more levels to cost you even more money. This last one is new to me. I just became aware of it not too long ago, and I don't know the proper name of this section. The entity will train you to be certified in something that I never heard of before, private money broker. I am uncertain what this person does, and I am unable to find the job title on Monster and Glassdoor. So the person pay to get training. The person then has to pay monthly for access to the entity software. The person later gets approached for upselling to learn something more about other levels. What is more troublesome for this last section scenario is that the software the person is paying for has mostly free features. The software looks up county records in which a lot of counties will give that out for free in API calls. Obviously, the person does not have to make the website. However, the entity made the website once and charged the people that are working for it a monthly fee to use the site to find the entity more clientele. The entity will charge for more classes regarding the other aspects or levels or whatever may be called by the entity. An example would be training for the aspect of becoming a broker, like how to find clientele, what qualifications are needed, etc. Then another class would be how to wholesale property. A whole lot of times, most of the information is on YouTube. Here's an example. An entity claimed to be the only one who uses housing code violation for research to look for places to buy. A YouTube search shows others are doing the same thing, and I have seen a video where it was about contacting the city water department about turned off water supply in hopes to know what are the newer vacant houses. When working for the entities like MLM and the pay-to-play model, if you fail, it's your fault. You didn't work hard enough. Yet, they tell everyone to do the exact same thing. For instance, the private money brokers are all told to go to the same Facebook groups and do the same spammy message. If everyone does the same thing at the same place, what makes you different from the others? Going off on tangent, there is an idea of the 80-20 rule. Looking up on Investopedia, it tells us the 80-20 rule, which asserts that 80% of outcome or outputs results from 20% of all causes or inputs for any given event. In business, a goal of the 80-20 rule is to identify inputs that are potentially the most productive and make them the priority. This can also be seen as 20% of a company's employees will make 80% of its results. Also, 20% of a company's customer will make 80% of its profits. While this is not 100% true, it gives an idea of a percentage or magnitude of the people that are expected to be successful. If you worked any jobs, you might have seen this in effect. You know the people who are actually producing more than others. That will also carry over to working for the entity. There will be a few people that will get the most clientele, and the rest of the people will have next to nothing. The entity will know who is getting the clientele, and the entity will focus on those workers. The rest just would be SOL. Putting effort in the other 80% of the workers would be a waste for the entity. The entity might upsell more to those 80%, and if they don't succeed, it's their own fault. It's not the fault of the entity setting these people up for failure. I guess it could be seen as the people's own fault if they don't try to stand out, but they are just doing as they was instructed since they really don't know what they should be doing. They are under the impression that the entity will help them make money, when in fact the people are just they're there to give the entity money and then find clientele for the entity. If you ever get into this situation, stop constantly paying the entity money. If the first level isn't making you money, why would the other levels do it? In these MLMs and pay to play, you are not an entrepreneur. You are a seller for the entity. You would trade a steady, constant paying job for something that you might not have any expertise or real training in doing and will have sporadic variable pay. For example, try to use the software or whatever item it is to make you money. What information is there that is not able to be used by the public? Utilize that information or tech to help make you money. Maybe you have to use the information or item in a way not intended by the entity. If the information is available to the public, how is the entity using the information? Can you use it like the entity? Can you think of another way to utilize it? One comment that I have heard and may fit well for some of these entities is, do as they do and not as they say. Because what they would tell you is for making them money and not you. You making money is just a byproduct of the entity getting new clientele. Nothing is wrong working for another company to make some money. Example, drop shipping or affiliate marketing. It's understood from the beginning what is going on. The problem comes when there's always more product or more learning or more opportunities from the entity that costs you more money. You are no longer a worker or contractor, you become the customer. If the person doesn't have much time and can't find a job and was thinking the entity will help him out with his lack of money, then there's a great chance the person is wrong. The entity can and will lead you down a road of impoverishment.